Hey, good morning. This is Andy. We are at HIKINEX. We work to grow. That's what we're going to be doing today. Let me get out of the way here so we can do some stuff. All right. Today we're going to do the math with HIKINEX. Doing the math is one of the most powerful things you can do in sales, right? Understanding what things actually cost, figuring out margins, figuring out percentages. Man, you got to be able to do that stuff in your head if you want it to be effective, right? You can't just stop, pull out your pad of paper, or pull out your calculator because you're going to get confused. Learn how to do it in your math, and we're going to teach you a couple different ways to do that today. All right. The topics, because math tells and validates. Math gives perspective to your clients so that you can diffuse their objections, right? And really paint the picture of what it matters. We're going to cover two topics. Mental math is the power of 10, moving the decimal over, right? And remember this, you don't have to be perfect in your math, just get in the ballpark, right? So if they need you to calculate something super accurately, get out your calculator. But for most math, if you do it in your head, you can do it while you're in conversation with them, talking to them. It gives you a lot of validity in terms of you understanding their business and your own business. Okay. The second thing we're going to cover is projecting the cost over time, which means I take a small number and I'm going to magnify it. Right. I take something small, a small monthly annoying number. And if I magnify that over a year, that becomes a big number, right? $2,000 a month, whatever. That's kind of annoying. $24,000 a year. That's like, holy crap. That's like half of someone's salary in the United States. That's like their housing payment. That's a significant number. Take this small thing, break it up over a year. It'll make a big difference. Small numbers to big numbers. All right, here we go. First things first. Let's do the math, mental math. All right. First things is 10% of anything is easy, right? So how do you get 10%? 10% of 100, you just move the decimal point over by one, right? That equals 10. What if it's a different number, 1280? Same thing, 10%, move the decimal point over. Just remember, to get 10% of anything, you move the decimal point over. Now, for those of you who don't know what a percentage is this. Take any unit of or any volume of numbers, break it into 100 pieces, and that's a percentage. 10 of those would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equals 10%, right? Take those 100 parts of anything, and that's how you get a percentage. All right. So now you're like 15%. That could be complicated because I can't just move the decimal. But what you can do is you can move the decimal for 10%, right? So let's say I wanted 15% of 100. Same thing. First, take 10% of 100. We already know that's 10. Now, we know that I need another 5%, right? Because 10% plus 5% equals 50%. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So then I just need to figure out 5% is 10%, is half. So I divide the previous result by 2, right? So 5% of 100 equals 10% of 100. And then I divide that by 2 equals 5. And then I just add those pieces together. So first get 10%, then get half of the 10% to get the 5%. And then I just add those pieces together. Simple stuff. So to get the 15% of 100, it's 10% of 100 plus the result of 10 divided by 2, which equals 5. And then I add those together to get the 15. Okay. So just remember, it's the power of 10. 10% of anything is easy. 999,000. Move the decimal. 999. Super simple. What if I wanted 15%? Then take the 999 divided by 2. It's 500. It's actually 49.5, but 500 is pretty close, right? And just remember, getting pretty close when you're running this head math is usually sufficient because you're just going to give them estimates. All right. That all sounds super simple. But then what if somebody asks you something crazy? What if they're like, hey, what is 40% of 70? And you're like, right? Your head's about to explode. You have no idea how to do that. Hey, get grounded. Get to the power of 10. Hey, take the 70%, break it into 100 parts, right? You know, that's easy. 10% of that 70 is 7. Easy. And then you also know that to get 40% of 10%, I need 4 of those, right? Again, power of 10. That just means the result of that is the 7 that I originally talked about. To get the 10%, first I get the 7, right? And then I need 4 of those. It's 28. So 40% of 70 equals 28. Piece of cake. All right. That's the head math. Break it into powers of 10 and then move on. All right. Last piece. Turning small numbers into big ones. This is where you figure out what a monthly cost is, and then you extrapolate it over an entire year. There's a couple things that need to happen. I'm going to walk through like basic talk track on how to do that. Here we go. But remember, the goal is this. You take a small number and you magnify it to make it painful. Make it painful. Okay. Mr. Jones, how many deals do you think you lose in a month because of insert whatever the appropriate reason is? Right? Maybe they don't have enough salespeople. Maybe they don't have the right leads, whatever it is. Next, get them to give you a number of how many of those they're having in a month. Right? So you're back and you're asking him again. And if he's like, they're always going to say this, Mr. Jones, how many of you lose? I don't know. You're like, okay, get them to agree to at least one. If they won't agree, that's where you do this. Mr. Jones, would you say you miss out on at least one deal, contract, project, sale per month because of whatever the reason? Right? Getting them to agree to at least one if they don't give it to you originally. Next, get a value to that. Hey, so if you lose a deal, how much does one deal cost? That's easy stuff to figure out, right? If you sign a contract, how much do you make on that contract? Okay. And then you take that value and multiply it by a year. Mr. Jones, are you saying by not doing this, you're losing this, and over a year, it's this bigger number, right? Mr. Jones, are you saying by not spending money on sales, you're losing one contract a month? And you told me each contract is worth $10,000. So that means over a year, that's $120,000. So by not doing this, you're losing $120,000 a year. Is that right? Okay. So we take the small and we make it big. All right. This is an example when we're selling staffing and recruiting. Mr. Jones, because you don't have the appropriate, whatever reason, right? Salespeople, recruiters on staff, because you can't close a deal fast enough or you can't recruit fast enough, so you're losing the deals. How many deals do you think you're losing because of this reason? Not recruiting fast enough, not having a salesperson on staff, etc. Then you get them to agree to the number, right? And if they won't give you, if they give you 2, great. If they give you 5, awesome. That makes your job even easier to make the magnification. But let's make sure they agree to at least 1 unit. Okay. And now, Mr. Jones, would you agree that you're losing at least 1 deal, contract, project, sale per month because you're not selling fast enough, because you don't have a recruiter on staff, because you don't have enough resources? Get them to agree to 1. Hey, Mr. Jones, could you tell me what is 1 deal worth? Okay. In recruiting, you would say, hey, the average placement fee is like 25%. Average salaries are on 100 grand. So wouldn't you say, Mr. Jones, that you're at least losing 1 deal per month, and that 1 deal is worth at least 25,000? Is that right? 25,000 a month, and then multiply by 12, right? 25,000 times 12 is 300,000. Mr. Jones, would you say that you're losing deals every month because you're not recruiting fast enough, because you don't have enough contracts in play? Yes, that's true. And Mr. Jones, wouldn't you agree that you're losing what? 5, 6 of those? Oh, no. Well, would you be losing at least 1? Sure, at least 1. Fantastic, Mr. Jones. And then what's the value of that, Mr. Jones? And on average in the recruiting industry, it's like 25% is the fee. Salaries are around 100 grand. Would you say you're losing around 25,000 per contract? At least that, Andy. Thanks, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones. So when you're really telling me you're not getting that 1 contract a month, what you're really saying is you're losing $300,000 a year. Am I understanding that correctly? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. All right. Now you might be freaked out. You're like, oh my God, Andy, how am I going to figure out 25,000 over a year? Same thing, man. Break it into parts. Remember, 12 is really just 10 plus 1 plus 1, right? So 12 is really 10 months plus 1 month plus 1 month. Now we already knew in our previous example, 1 month was 25,000. Times 10 is easy, right? Just move the decimal to the right this time, right? Instead of moving it to the left, move it to the right. You get 250,000. And then you want to, that covers January through October. That's 10 months. And then you just need to add in November and December, right? So you know November is 1, December is 1. Add those 2 together. You can do that. Anyone can do that. 250,000 plus 25,000 plus 25,000, easy, 300,000. How did you do that? You did it easy because all you did was you started with the base 10 and then got the incremental pieces. You either add or divide, and you, right, if you want to make a percentage, you move it to the left. If you want to make a dollar value, you move the decimal to the right, right, left, right, gets you where you need to be. All right, so let's summarize the power of 10. Use the power of 10. Move the decimals left, move them right. Remember this, as a salesperson, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You are not trying to do brain surgery on someone's brain. You're throwing a hand grenade. Boom, right? As long as you get close, you're going to be fine, right? If you get 12 instead of 13, it's not the end of the world, right? Just remember, in sales, getting close. Hand grenades, just as effective as long as you get close. The important part to remember is, right, turning small numbers into big ones is a really easy way to magnify the pain, right? Hey, if your boyfriend cheated on you once, that's a pain in the ass, right? He cheated on you in January, but what if he cheated on you every single month? January, February, March, April, right? That one infidelity magnified over a year because he did it in a month, right, is now 12 times. That's ridiculous. Magnify the pain. Magnify the pain, right? You take the small, magnify it over time, and now it becomes enormous, right? And remember, that can go both directions, right? If it's, oh my God, it's $120,000 a year that you need to spend. Oh, but per month it's only 10,000, right? You can either make it big or make it small. Small numbers can become big ones. Big ones can become small ones. The modification is time. Time. All right. Just remember this, mental math during your conversation makes things real and makes it really quickly. You don't have to send a proposal later. You don't have to scratch the numbers later, right? If you can put the numbers in easily and early in the conversation, it makes it super easy to get their buy-in and to magnify the pain. Okay, so mental math is going to make your sales life easier if you can. But the last part is you can use this in real life, right? If you need to pay someone's tip, right? Because you're going out to tip and you want to be a big tipper. They give you a bill for $68 and you're like, how do I want to give them 20% because they were fantastic. You go, okay, $68. Well, no, 10%, $6.80 because I just moved the decimal. And then I just have to multiply that by 2. That's pretty easy, right? Easy, right? So you take the 10%, multiply by 2 to get the 20%. You're 6.8. I would just round to 7. Multiply by 2, that's 14. You give them 14, you actually gave them 22%, not 20%, but either way, they're happy because you gave them a really good tip. You did the mental math. You look like a superstar. Practice this in real life. It will make your life easier. My name is Andy. Thanks for spending mental math today. We'll talk to you guys soon.